Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Kyra and I am here today to check out the Anatomy of a Witch Oracle. This is going to be the first video in our series of like book club style videos where we work through Anatomy of a Witch Oracle and the book together to see if we can't find some ways for them to work. So, how this started was I was watching, I'm just going to get it out of this box. This is what the box looks like. This is a Llewellyn deck. I love the size of this box. It's such a great size. This is by Laura Tempest Zakroff. And Lisa, this was on pre-order, and I knew I wanted it. And Lisa was doing hot takes. And I was like, look at that. Pretty. And I was like, and she was talking about how, I'll link the video, how Laura Tempest Zakroff's work isn't it's not like your typical Oracle deck, or at least not for Lisa's style of Oracle, where it's like you can pick the keywords. Laura Tempest Zakroff's oracles feel very guidebook reliant, I think is the best way to put it. Now, I haven't had any of Laura Tempest Zakroff's oracle decks before. I don't have the Liminal Spirits. From what I understand of her work in books, it doesn't surprise me whatsoever that they would feel very guidebook reliant, because she is a writer. And because her brain, she does things very, I want to say, intricately. She does things that are incredibly intricate, which I love. And I love doing intricate, fancy work. It's what I do with my tarot and astrology work. I have a website. You can check it out. But, so when I saw Lisa's video, it something clicked in my brain, and I thought, oh, I bet you there's a little bit of a mark here on the side, but whatever. I was like, I bet you that this deck could be easier to work with if you have and read the book. So then I proposed to you, and I got the idea of doing it like a book club kind of a thing. So my patrons or members, by the time you're seeing this, I don't know for sure if we're still waiting for my membership to unlock. Stay tuned for updates. If you've heard me say something before this video about it, that might be more up to date because I might record something before this. Just stay tuned. But my thought is to use this book and to see if it can help me get to know this deck. And so I had to get my hands on the deck. I waited until I was able to get it on Amazon, like one-day delivery. Just in case I didn't summarize that well, I'm going to try again. The whole purpose is I really wanted this deck, and I want to explore if this deck is more accessible to work with in conjunction with having worked with the Anatomy of a Witch tarot. Like, there was one card in it specifically, it was like hand, and I thought, having had this book, I haven't read it all yet, but having looked through this book, I thought, if there's a part in this book that refers to like a hand, our hands, and what they mean for us, then this book could be expanded knowledge that we can use. Like there is a serpent card. Oops. There is a serpent card in this deck. There's a whole chapter on the serpent. So I thought working with these two together would be really fun. So all I know so far is that I'm going to be doing a series of videos on these. I don't know how it's going to look yet because I haven't read the book yet and I just got the cards. I will update you as soon as I can. What I do know is if you look, the back here, see that? This is the image that is on the back of our Anatomy of a Witch. So like, while Weave the Liminal, the book, and her book, The Liminal Spirits, weren't quite as directly connected, these two are. So I want to look at them. But for today, what we're going to do is I'm going to just take a look at this oracle and see what it looks like. Plus, this will give anyone who hasn't had a chance to look at it yet an idea of what it's like. So I'm going to zoom in. Here, that's better. Okay, so I did take a quick peek at the guidebook, and it is extremely in-depth. We'll look at that in a minute. Let's look at, or in a couple minutes, let's look at the cards. So, first card we have is Adorn. It is stunning artwork. Air, so these are in order, in alphabetical order. Align. Amulet, that's interesting. Awake. Whoa, look at that image. That's really cool. Banish. I feel like some of these are more intuitively accessible just based on the image and the words. Like birth, there's an egg. There's like, I think a lot of people could work with this. But then there's other ones that are less. Bless. Cleanse. Yep, that one works. Commune. Oh, that's interesting. They're all around a cauldron, and it's almost like 3 people. So very 3 of Cups. Create. Stunning. Death. Dream. Earth. All of the elements, I do know there's 4 element cards, and all of them have something of a heart. But we'll get back to that. Equinox. This is wicked. Experience. Eye. That's pretty, like, this is an evil eye kind of look. Festival. Fire. Full moon. This feels slightly, maybe it was printed in a different batch. Hands. Heal. Love. Maintain. Ooh, interesting. Memory. New moon. Beautiful. Nourish. Perception. play. That's hysterical. It's Baba Yaga's house. Pop it. Protect. Renew. Interesting image for renew. But I know Laura Tempest Zachroft's work. I guarantee you she has a reason, even if I don't know it offhand. The serpent. Shapeshift. Smell. Solstice. Look at this image. Sound. Taste. Touch. Vision. Water. Okay, how beautiful is this? Waxing and waning. The weaver. Everything gets brought to the cauldron, and from there you weave and create and thread magic things. Witch bones. Witch bottle. Witch braid. Witch heart. And witch lungs. So before I go any further, I will say, so this is Llewellyn. This is a nice cardstock. There's, it doesn't fully, it holds its bend a little, but I'm going to show you a shuffle now because I am going to, let's zoom out, because I am going to, the order of these doesn't matter right now because I'm actually going to reorder them. Because it is glossy, but they're quite easy to shuffle. And I am going to reorder them because of the structure in the guidebook. So, in the guidebook, boop, boop, boop. First, there's a disclaimer. There's a table of contents. Then there's a list in the context there contents. There's the list of all of the cards, and it's alphabetical, which is nice. What it says on the back is here. This stunning 48 card oracle celebrates the witch's body and how it unites the material and metaphysical worlds. Check the pulse of different areas of your life with cards featuring systems of the magical body, lunar and solar events, senses, and more. This deck helps you... Trying again. This deck helps you pinpoint what needs your attention most, while the full color companion book offers new perspectives and directs you toward action. With the Anatomy of a Witch Oracle, you can explore the full power of your witch body, the most magical tool in your possession. And Laura Tempest Zachroft, I will say, in her writing, is very good at being aware and inclusive of the fact that not everyone has the best relationship with their body. So in her book, there's a whole like disclaimer part where she says a witch is anyone. And she also talks about how she talks about the fact that there are some folks with varying degrees of physical abilities. So I do want to just make sure you're aware that even though we're talking about like our body, Laura does make sure to leave space for the fact that our body can be of varying experiences for each of us. Our experience of our bodies is varied. So, anywho, there is a structure in this system. So, there are... And in the guidebook, there's Anatomy of the Witch, Meeting the Magical Body, To help us explore the magical body, let's begin with the metaphorical guide that I refer to as The Anatomy of a Witch, which is entirely what this book is about. Which is why I'm thinking working with them together could be really cool. While the human body itself has numerous systems and organs, which we can definitely correlate to certain magical practices in their own way, the body of the witch has 5 main parts: the lungs, heart, serpent, bones, and mind. Together they encapsulate the symbolic essence that helps direct the witch's path. With the witch's lungs, we explore breath as a means to connect with others, establish embodied physical presence, maintain our sovereignty, and perceive invisible influences. The witch heart provides a rhythm for us to move to as we seek balance within ourselves and with the world around us. The pulse of our blood feeds into ritual, which helps us communicate and find purpose in our work. From everyday tasks to the big moments in life, ritual plays a part in guiding our paths in so many ways. Calling upon the most primal part of ourselves, the serpent guides us to strengthen our powers of intuition and protection. As we trace its spiraling path, we discover the healing mysteries of creativity and transformation. We learn to trust our gut and to cleanse and protect ourselves as needed. Witch bones give us the strength and structure we need to build our practice. They hold the whispers of our ancestors and the spirits of the land, revealing the mysteries of death while also speaking of the future. From tradition to innovation, the bones create the forms that help us function in the world. The weaver, or witch mind, is the creative cauldron that stirs everything together. It knowingly weaves together who we are from our experiences, memories, sensations, feelings, and inspirations, creating the pattern of our path. This oracle is designed to give you deeper insight into your body, both your physical body and your metaphorical one. Whether you are looking for emotional, mental, physical, or spiritual guidance, the cards can help guide you to new perspectives on what you likely consider well-traveled territory. We are so familiar with our body that we often take it for granted, overlooking or missing signs and signals that could give us crucial guidance. The symbolism inherent in the anatomy of a witch can unlock these mysteries resting just below the surface, like seeds waiting to emerge. By engaging with your body more fully as a primary metaphysical tool, you will find that your magic flows so much more smoothly and effectively. The cards in this oracle invite you to consider the power of the body's different states of being, as well as magical actions, the 4 elements, our senses, lunar and solar influences, the traditional witchcraft lore and traditional witchcraft lore and magic. So that's like the description of the deck. Talks about the art. And then the body of the deck, it's broken into different things. And I'm going to go ahead with this. And I'm going to reorder the deck into the setup she built for it. So we can take a bit of a look at that. So for the Witch Anatomy. And I'm going to just speed this part up. Okay, so the first section is like the witch anatomy, and it includes the cards the Weaver, Witch Bones, the Serpent, Witch Heart, Witch Lungs. And those are in fact the ones from the, like, right up here, Meet the Magical Body, that I read. And these are the areas that in this book get explored very in depth. Witch lungs, witch heart, the serpent, witch bone. The serpent, witch bones, the weaver. So these are the 5 main parts. And it says in it that these are the main systems of the magical body, together giving us the anatomy of a witch. Everyone calls attention to specific themes and practices within its domain while supporting the others. So those are those ones. The next ones we have are the elements, fairly self-explanatory: fire, water, earth, and air. We are made by all four elements, united by spirit. So these cards direct our attention to a specific element and its influence on us. The elements can also correspond to zodiac signs. Next are the senses, which we have here. Smell, vision or sight, touch, taste, sound, and perception. Senses can guide us in establishing protocol for our practice, deepening our perception of not only ourselves, but also the world around us, and informing us on how to best apply magic in our lives. Next is the body being. That's the big group. There's 14 cards here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm missing one, apparently. Let me count those again. 1 second. There it is. Okay. Got him. Haha. So in the category here of the body being, these cards, this group indicates states of being as well as actions that permeate our daily lives. These cards can be very directive in helping us create change as we understand it. They can be very mundane in their approach, but most often they're pointing to a metaphysical approach as well. So we have adorn, align, awake, birth, create, death, dream, experience, love, maintain, memory, nourish, play, renew. So that's that grouping. And then the lunar and solar events, which there's 6. There's, these get flipped. So we have new moon, the waxing and waning, the full moon. And then for solar events, we have the equinox, solstice, and the festival. These cards tap into the tides and rhythms of the cycles of the moon and our yearly journey around the sun. We can see the powerful influences of these celestial movements reflected in our lives, in our bodies, minds, and spirits. So that's those ones. Then we have witch work. So there are 7 witch work cards that are essentially magical action or spellcraft. While these terms could also be applied in a mundane sense, these cards focus on magical action to bring about necessary change. They point to the kind of work we may need to do to resolve issues in our lives. And they have commune, banish, bless, protect, shapeshift, cleanse, and heal. And then the last grouping are magical artifacts. They each have a long history steeped in magical folklore and practice. When you work with these cards, you are being asked to look more deeply at the relationship you have to that particular object or symbol, rather than taking some sort of larger magical action related to the item. Amulet, eye, poppet, hands, witch braid, witch bottle. And so let's see. This is what it's, and then it has a mapping your journey card. I won't read all of it, but it says, consider this deck very much like a map or travel guide. It can help point you to key destinations, suggest a pit stop, note important landmarks, or recommended sites to see along the way. The Oracle can aid you in designing effective rituals, creating magical workings, as well as formulating your path while refining your practice. There is no one way to use this deck. The following are suggestions to help you build a working relationship with the deck and your body. And then there's a tuning to the deck, a single card spread. There's three cauldron spread, which is right here. What should I know about my body to achieve balance and improve my health? What do I need to do in order to stay on task or be more inspired? How do I best connect with the larger or divine or larger vision? What will help all 3 cauldrons align? Then there is the witch anatomy or star spread. There's other ways of working with it. And then there's just a little journey begins and before we get into the card descriptions. And then let's see, is there anything hiding in the back? Boop. Recommended read. There's a sources cited and recommended reading. Anatomy of the Witch is the book that this oracle is based on. It builds upon the concepts found in the Weave the Liminal and guides you to truly embody your practice. Each part of the magical body is explored in great detail, along with exercises, rituals, and sigils to help you connect with each. So that is a look at the guidebook, and it feels really nice. It is, for those who like to know this information, it is a different size. So I want to look at, so here in the first section of these parts, I feel like a decent chunk of this deck is actually, in my opinion, able to be played off of. Like, Serpent is hard, sort of. Then again, I think, let's take a look at what the guidebook says. So let's look at one of the, let's look at hands. Because that's a weird one that I know that off the top of your head, you might see that and go, what the fuck? So let's see. And the book is in alphabetical order. So the first thing it does is it does say what group magical artifacts, and then it does talk about the description. In the foreground, we see 3 hand-shaped pendants. The Manu Figa on the left, the Hamza in the center, and the Manu Cornuta on the right. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing those. All symbols of protection and power. In the background, we can make out a handprint, much like those made by our ancestors thousands of years ago on cave walls, and not much different from the ones we made as children with paint and paper. A handprint is evidence of existence. Consider. Through our hands, we can experience and interact with the world. We can use them to help and connect with one another, shaping community. Our hands have their own language and are steeped in symbolism all around the world. Our fingertips are critical points where the body ends, and our potential to physically influence, alter, and direct the world with our intent begins. So much power rests in our hands. We can use them to build, gesture, give, receive, sculpt, speak, strum, pick, ward, write, caress, reach, protect, hold, break, and comfort. Keywords: impact, assistance, influence, helping hand. RX. I think I don't quite understand what the RX means. I'm just checking to see if there's a place that tells me what the fuck the RX means. I don't think it means like reversed. Maybe it's like the diagnosis. I don't know. If you know what RX might stand for in this context, let me know. But what it says is, forgive the pun, but it's time for a hands-on approach to whatever you've been contemplating. The best way, so this is like the oracle message. The best way to make your mark on the world right now is through direct interaction, getting involved, and lending aid to someone else, whether physically or metaphysically. Remember the power that rests in your hands. And I want to also take a look at what it says for the serpent. Witch Anatomy, or the group is the Witch Anatomy. The description is a powerful, verdant serpent undulates before us, forked tongue tasting the air as it surveys future paths. Consider, cradled within your pelvis, a serpentine energy is coiled, biding its time. The most primal part of ourselves, the serpent, guides us to strengthen our powers of intuition and protection. As we trace its spiraling coils, we consider the healing mysteries of creativity and transformation. Through the wisdom of the serpent, we learn how to shed our skin, soak up the sun when we need to rest, and strike when in danger. There is nothing to fear here. This is an integral part of your path, the wild part of you that has always been there and has never forgotten magic. The path ahead will have its curves and shifts, and you'll move right along with it. Keywords: primal self, intuition, creatrix. RX, learn to trust your gut. Practice both stillness and movement. For stillness, focus on your breath, relax, quiet your mind and body. Take in the world around you without reacting, just watch. Then begin to move slowly and be sensuous and present. Focus on how it feels to gently move and stretch different parts of your body. Breathe. So, my thoughts are, I think what trips some people up with decks like this is we hear the word oracle and we think very strongly of divination. To me, this feels much more like a working tool. This feels like something that would take study, that like I want to use this the way it's intended. I want to use this and read the book and use this to work on my relationship with my body, in a very embodied, physical way. And that doesn't always necessarily mean physical action, but this feels more like a tangible tool than a tool to divine and explore intangible things. This feels like a way that I can bring my physical being into, I don't know the words for it. I don't know for the words for what I'm trying to say, but it definitely feels, this doesn't feel to me like a divination to learn what's in my brain. Like, I reach for tarot decks and I think a lot of like, I use tarot and oracle decks to explore how I'm thinking, how I'm feeling, to explore my subconscious, to explore my other kind of intangible things. This doesn't feel like that kind of an oracle to me. I'll just flip through the art so that way we have pretty things to look at. This feels like a very real, tangible tool. This feels like something that I would hopefully build, that I would hopefully use to build and to work with my magic. In a much more, I just keep thinking of the word tangible, in a much more tangible way. The artwork is stunning. Laura Tempest Zakroff's work is amazing. I love it so very much. I love this create card. Like, come on. I feel like there are like death. There are quite a few number of cards in here that I feel like anyone could work with. And that could be used for more oracle divination style things. But this feels like a deck that'll give you homework. This doesn't feel like just do a reading and journal on it and it's done. This feels like something that you'll work with it and you'll learn about how you can work with your body or your magic in day-to-day life more. I hope I'm explaining that okay. If you think you know what I'm talking about and you feel the same kind of way looking at this whole thing, let me know in the comments down below and tell us your translation of what the fuck I'm trying to say. But this is, I think this is a very rich potential tool, if it is up your alley. It's extremely up mine. I am thrilled to have it, and I think it will be absolutely great to work with. If you are looking at this because you were interested and you were like, oh, maybe I can get this Oracle deck and I can just throw it with some cards, that might not be what this Oracle deck is going to be good at. I don't know. There are some folks who might find that they can just throw this down and understand what it means. I am viewing this as a deck to study in conjunction with the book that this deck is based off of. And from there, I'm hoping to build a better relationship with my body, with my environment, lots of things. I'm very excited to have this. So I'm going to be working on this in videos. If this is what you're interested in, there's still time. You can go ahead and grab these. I'll link them on Amazon. I'll put like a link to them in the description box. So if you're interested, you can follow along. You can join in the process of, I'm going to be looking at working with both of them. So my first step is I'm going to be doing some research. I'm kind of going to be looking at it, the book more, how it's laid out, and the cards, and seeing if I can build some sort of a structure. Otherwise, I might just do chapter by chapter, a video where I explore things. So I'm going to be studying these and working with these and doing videos along the way, book club kind of style, book and cards, here on the channel. And my paid members, whether that's through Patreon or at the point you're seeing this YouTube membership, will likely get some extra videos about it. So, but that's where I'm going to leave it. And that's the gist of this. So we have a walkthrough of the Anatomy of a Witch Oracle, which is a brand new deck. It just hit the market. We have looking at it with the book. And so if you're interested in these and you're wanting to join me in working with these together and seeing if we can study this, then check out the link in the description and you can check these out for yourself. Otherwise, this is where I'm going to end this. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up to let me know if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so you can come on back nice and easily and join us for other such fun videos. My channel, I do mostly tarot stuff with sprinklings of astrology and journaling in here, but I am leaning more in towards the tarot because that just is what feels right for me on my path right now. Let me know in the comments down below if you're interested in this. What is your thoughts on this Oracle deck? Do you think you could work with it in some way? Let me know. And in the description box, not only can you find the links to these, as I've mentioned, but you can also find the link to my website and any other links to contact me and whatnot that you can explore. My website, you can explore working with me more as your astrologer, tarot reader, whatnot. Anyway, I'm going to let you go here, and I will see you again very, very soon. Lots of love. Bye.